Hello, Raleigh. This is citizen reporter Robert Courts coming to you from the Your Backyard Raleigh News Network. And I'm tickled today to have my second interview with mayoral candidate Dr. T.Ruth. Dr. Ruth, thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me again.
Well, I am very delighted to be able to chat with you. I'm a big fan of the race that you are running for mayor. And as the champion of local, I see a mayoral candidate that has the same values as I do. So it's a very appreciative, and I'm honored to be here today. Thank you, Dr. Ruth.
Well, thank you.
And I'd like to start with, if you don't mind, the mayor of the role of the mayor in the Raleigh City Council and how you see that playing out when you're elected.
Yeah, so I want to help people understand that there's a strong mayoral structure and then there's a weak mayoral structure. Most people think of strong. They think of New York. You're coming in, CEO, you're bringing your whole team, and you're running the day-to-day operations. We don't have that here. We have a weak mayoral structure, and the whole council, they hire the city manager to do the day-to-day. The city manager is the one that makes over $300,000 a year. The council makes roughly $30,000 a year. And I say the salary so you can see the distinction. So when you are thinking about who should be the next mayor, you're thinking about a weak mayoral structure, someone who has a vision, someone who can work well with others,
right?
And then someone who understands governance, because day-to-day is going to be run by somebody else. And so that's the person that you are electing. I teach governance. I'm a board chair in the city. I'm on a board. I'm going to a board meeting right after this. But also, I work well with others. That's not a thorn in my side. That's not something I have to struggle to do. I can think critically, which means I can think with others who don't have my opinion, and we can still come to a consensus. And right now in our politics, even our local politics, that's something that we still need to improve on.
Right. Our current mayor has been really the antithesis of that. She's sowed dissatisfaction, dissension. There are rumors that the city management is very close with the current mayor, and they're not even communicating equally with all the current council.
Yeah, and so for those that don't know, the whole council is accountable. I mean, the city manager is accountable to the whole council, not just the mayor. The mayor get one vote. That means that they're equally as important as the other members on that council. And so when the decision is made between the city manager and the entire council. Matter of fact, I think that's what makes our local government rich with accountability, rich with structure that allows for diverse views. But when that is not done well, we will see some of the fumbles we've seen in this last 2 years. And so I think it's healthy for us to have a range of leaders impacting the day-to-day operation rather than having one perspective dominating the day-to-day operation.
And I'm tickled to have the potential to have a mayor that does build consensus, that does work as a team, that does want everyone's input so that we can have that true accountability. So I think that's a real strength of yours, Dr. Ruth.
No, I appreciate it because, again, you don't have democracy if you don't have choice. You don't have democracy if you don't have a range of opinions. You don't, I mean, literally, we're playing democracy if we don't have that structure. And so it's frustrating because some people, they want democracy to succeed. They want democracy to be healthy. And because some of these things are happening in secret, they don't know. They don't know that what they're experiencing may not be democracy with accountability, democracy with a range of views. And so I just believe that democracy can be a strong tool to make a healthy city.
Well, I appreciate that, Dr. Ruth. And that really, your ability to work with others and build consensus really goes hand in glove with your commitment to citizen engagement. That's always been on the forefront of who you are. And that's really a secondary strength that plays well with your first strength.
Yeah, I mean, to me, let's leave government and go to any company that we trust to make our products, trust to make our phones. They have something called a human-centered design where they said those closest to the problem are closer to the solution. So the experts, they would argue, are those living with the lived experiences. Those are the very people we leave out when we don't have good community engagement.
Right.
Those are the very people that we leave out. The people that's beta testing the policy decisions that inform and improve the quality of life. When we don't engage them well, then our policy doesn't land well. Launching a policy is a barrier, right? It's hard to get a policy across and get all the votes, et cetera. But to have policy implemented well, you need engagement. So to birth policy and then to implement policy, those are two different journeys. And we don't implement policy well because we don't engage well. And so I think at the core of every policy is that the people who are going to experience the policy trust that they were represented well. That's at the core. And then when it doesn't do well, the pivot that's made in that policy should be in response to what you hear from your engagement with people. And so I think community engagement is the soil that policy rests on, not the sprinkle on top after the policy has been,
Right. Or after the fact, like we see the red hat,
That's right.
where it appears the decision was made, even appears that votes were done in improper order due to the management's lack of commitment to citizen engagement. So again, very encouraged that who you are will be represented in your mayorship of Raleigh.
But Robert, I just want people to know that I value community engagement because it's best practice.
Right.
It's not even like some unique thing about Terrence. I teach policy on a master's level at NC State. You will not see a political textbook that deletes community engagement.
Right.
You will not see a scholar that will delete community engagement. So we're just talking about best practice here. We're not even talking about knock out the park. Just best practice is to engage human beings on policy.
Well, you practice what you preach. You're a man of your word and your education and your entire lifestyle. So that will be a refreshing opportunity for Raleigh. I'd like to pivot, if you have just another minute, Dr. Ruth, to talk about something that's really been sitting heavy on my heart. And I believe that if you want to look behind the mask of a candidate, if you want to see beyond their persona, you need to follow the money. And I've taken a look at your donations and one of your biggest opponents, and I see a stark difference in where you're getting your funds from the others. And would you just talk a little bit about your donations and where they're coming from?
Yeah. So the first thing is I've been consistent. If you look at my last run, the type of donations I receive are consistent. They're from people individuals who actually say, "Hey, I want to be governed well." Those are the people who normally donate. They're micro, they're small, they're people who are coming and engaging, but also. I think if you enter the room to negotiate land decisions with the community on your side, then you can have a balanced decision around growth. If you walk into that room and you're already owned by certain organizations or institutions, then I think it's very difficult to make a decision that's balanced and lean towards growth and quality of life. And so when you see how I fundraise, it's deliberate. It's through a decision to want to enter the room to negotiate what's best for people and the quality of their life so that we can all grow together. Development grows when people grows. Development is healthy when people are healthy. And I don't think you can put one over the other. And I don't think that entering in already pretty much committed to one group over the other, I think it could be dangerous. And so for me, my donations are micro. My donations are from people. My donations are from community. My donations are from people that work with me in the field. I've been in public schools. I've been in the arena of social work. I've been in social justice organizations. I've led state, national. Those are the people that say, "Hey, I've worked with Terrence. I trust that human being. They're still alive today. You can still call them people who have worked with me." Those are people who are seeing consistency across my life and saying, "Hey, what he says he's been doing. He said he's going to do affordable housing. He's been working with neighbor to neighbor on affordable housing. He said he's going to do community engagement. He's been working with a group, Re-City, to do community engagement." I mean, those are the donations I'm receiving, and I want to make sure I enter policy decisions with a balanced approach that values residents' opinion and not leave them out because they can't afford to be a part of my negotiation.
Well, Dr. Ruth, wow, this just sounds like the foundation of good governance. It is also in stark contrast to one of your opponents who not only has received tens of thousands of dollars from developers and somewhat then beholden to them, they've also received a good bit of their funds from the development Dems lately, like former Mayor Meeker, Smead York, Ann Franklin, Seth Morris, Ann Robertson. And I mention these people by name because they wrote a letter to the Wake Democratic Party trying to stop endorsements. Mm-hmm. And only because they felt threatened by people who are committed, like you, to doing the right thing. And could you just speak to that? Because it just weighs so heavy on my heart, Dr.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I ran last time for mayor, and this road is pretty similar. And most people don't get a chance to see behind the curtains, but it's unfortunate. And we're talking about all Dems here. We're not even talking about Republicans. We're talking about all Dems, and we're talking about trusting the process. So when the Dems endorse, they take you through an interview. In that interview, it's recorded. You get policy questions. I would love for them to release the recordings. Mm-hmm. Like, release the recordings of me talking about policy versus anybody else that's running. I'm completely confident that I know I have a dearth of knowledge around policy and a commitment to human beings. But then after that recording, they send that recording out to their base, and their base vote for who they would like, and then you fill out an endorsement questionnaire. I'm telling you this process so that you know that it's thorough. It's done. It's right. Thorough. It's done. Multiple people look at it. They tell you the rules, and I went through it twice. Okay, they tell you the rules. It's not just one group, one human being making a decision. It's actually going through an entire process. And so I trust that their process was done well. I don't try to argue against that process because the endorsement is on your decision. But what I would love for people to see is the videos that we recorded, so that you can see the decisions had to be made. But also, it's not democracy, and it's not a decision when there's pressure to not do. And that pressure, to me, shouldn't be hidden. People should know that behind the scenes, that these endorsements are not just a clean cut, you interview, I interview, whoever does the best interview or whoever presents the best case or policy wins. That's not what happens. And so I'm glad that you brought that out, because most people don't know. Most people are just looking at the list of endorsements and saying, oh, they were endorsed by. No, there's pressure. And that pressure is because there's fear. And so that fear is what people should know and see. Again, I don't say a name when I'm running. I don't talk down against anyone. So why would you be afraid of my candidacy? And that's the question that group should answer. We don't disparage anybody. We talk about the vision and the hopes that we have for this city and residents, period.
Well, Dr. Ruth, I think that's what they're scared of, that true servant heart candidates like you, Dr. Ruth, who are going to engage with citizens, who are going to engage with all of Raleigh, not just a little pocket here or a little pocketbook here, but true leaders who want to create a Raleigh for everyone, built in the image of the citizens versus in the image of their own ambitions.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Robert. And part of that strategy is to talk about experience or qualifications. To my knowledge, not a single person that's running for mayor have led a national organization. I've been a part of 2 national organizations and had VP roles in those organizations. To my knowledge, not another individual on the council have a PhD in policy. So I actually study and research policy. To my knowledge, not another single person has evaluated policy at a state level. I actually evaluated policy. Again, the way forward for them is to pretend that there are some macro qualification that you need to have for this role so that they can discourage voters from seeking candidates that's actually going to reflect their values and needs. And I'm here for people. And if you're not here for people, then you're not here for democracy.
Well put, Dr. Ruth. In our final moments, can you tell my audience how to best get in touch with you and how to reach out to your campaign and to support you?
Yeah, so it's True for Raleigh on all platforms. So True for Raleigh on Instagram, True for Raleigh on Facebook. We're also on X. We also have a podcast called Illogical by Truth. We try to inform voters of why local government is important in the context is Raleigh. The leaders I interview are from Raleigh, so that you can learn that this is an important election. This is a critical election. There's a role that the mayor plays, there's a role that the council plays, and there's a role that the citizen plays. And we talk through all of that.
Well, Dr. Ruth, you hit my 3 most important messages to the citizens. Local government does matter.
That's right.
Citizen engagement is the cornerstone of good governance. And
Right.
where you get your money is who you're going to be beholden to.
That's
and
right.
So, Dr. Ruth, I'm very excited to promote you. And I'm also want to say, Raleigh, Dr. Ruth is running for mayor. He deserves your intense support. All this and more is in your backyard. Thank you, Dr. Ruth.
Thank you.